within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.
Welcoming you to InFocus, a weekly program where we take a closer look at what's happening within and across the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. On this episode, we turn our attention to the Immigration Department, an essential pillar in both national security and visitor experience. Joining us are Chief Immigration Officer Mr. Sheldon Jeffers and Deputy Chief Immigration Officer Suzette Hodge. They are here to discuss with us the latest innovations and other key changes aimed at improving efficiency and strengthening border protection. Stay with us. InFocus will be right back.
At the Ministry of Tourism are pleased to welcome the introduction of the electronic travel authorization system. This is a meaningful step forward as we continue to modernize our tourism sector, making travel to St. Kitts and Nevis even more seamless, efficient, and visitor-friendly.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, and of course, let me welcome Mr. Jeffers and Ms. Hodge to the program once again. Thank you guys for joining us on this special edition of InFocus.
Thank you for.
So to begin, let's talk about the Immigration Department. Many people hear about the Immigration Department. A lot of you, they just think of all these the guys who stop us at the airport. But what's the overarching vision of the Immigration Department?
Well, firstly, good afternoon again, Mr. Johnson, and to all of your listening audience, those who are viewing as well. For me, firstly, I'm a people person, and so my vision for the department is to put my staff first, make my staff as comfortable and as happy as ever. However, if I want to fulfill the vision of the department, I believe in making my staff as happy and as comfortable as ever, and then that would take me into to fulfilling my vision statement, which is to transform the St. Kitts and Nevis Immigration Department into a paragon of excellence through the use of technology and, of course, human element part of it. So that is really the mandate and the vision of the department.
So far, you've that first part you mentioned of making your staff happy. In your opinion, have you been achieving on that part of your mission so far?
Well, yes, we have been making some progress, and just like everything else, there are obstacles, but we are getting there. We are continuing to fight. We will not stop. We will not give up fulfilling our vision. Again, it is to make everybody as comfortable as possible, and everything that we have to do to make my staff comfortable and happy. That is really my intention and my vision.
So, Deputy, can you vouch for Mr. Jeffers' statements?
Yes, I can.
All right. Now, of course, immigration is a very important, very serious responsibility. What would you say are the biggest challenges, priorities for immigration management in today's society?
Challenges
and priorities.
Well, our priorities lies in our vision and mission statement, which is to provide we are committed to providing an efficient and professional service to all persons who are arriving and departing our ports, whether it be at air or sea, to prevent the illegal entry of persons into the Federation, to liaise with international and regional agencies, and most importantly, we must be seen to do this in a friendly and courteous manner. I think that is really the crux of what we do in respect to our priorities.
Is it in any way demoralizing when you sometimes, I guess you guys might see some comments on social media about this individual was treated badly at the airport by an immigration officer? Do you guys see these statements, and what would that do for the morale of the staff, and how would you address situations like this?
We get them from time to time. There are conflicts. We are trained, we are properly trained to deal with those kind of situations. And I always say that we are all students until we die. So we continue to evolve, we continue to learn. We learn from the mistakes that we make, and we move on from there.
Sure. Now, the electronic travel authorization, or the ETA system, that is one of the most notable and exciting innovations that have been adopted by the department in recent times. For those who may not know, can you explain what the ETA is and how does it function? How does it work?
Well, the ETA, as it says, it simply means an electronic travel authorization. It's really a digital system that really grants persons permission to enter St. Kitts and Nevis, and not just persons, but visitors. It provides a platform, and it's not just an authorization. It combines, is a combination of factors that come with it. I would not go into so much of the security aspect of it, because it's a strong aspect of security with respect to it. But it's really an online platform. It's similar to an entry visa, but it's more specifically only for visitors to enter the country. So you make an application. Of course, you go onto the platform, you make an application. It requires you to enter some information, your travel details, your accommodations, and of course your passport information and so forth. And in the background, when that application is submitted, there's a team that views all those ETA application, and a determination is made whether the person should be allowed entry into the Federation. But it's really like a visa to enter St. Kitts and Nevis technically. So
you guys are not asking for any other information that you normally wouldn't ask for?
Well, it's a case by case. And I won't go into some of the details as to exactly what we ask for. But basic information that you would require to enter any country, we ask for. If it requires for us to ask additional questions based on the person, then we would do so.
Okay, I understand. And what do you think prompted the introduction of this system for us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, a small society like St. Kitts and Nevis?
I recall I was here just over a year ago, and I believe, my memory serves me correctly, the topic was modernization of immigration department. And I believe then the priority was the introduction of the kiosk machine, yes, which we would have launched last year, about a year ago. And so the ETA is just an extension of our mission and our vision to modernize and technologize the immigration department. We wanted, once we launched the kiosk last year, it wasn't enough for me, you know. And so we looked out there in the market to see what new advancement is there, and we came up with this company. We met this company in Travaiserie, and they introduced us to this brand new system, and we jumped on it right away. So it's really an extension and a continuation of our quest to modernize and technologize the immigration department.
Okay, can you just give us a bit of details about, you mentioned the company Travaiserie. Is this a reputable organization that you guys have partnered with?
Yeah, we would have never selected them if they wasn't reputable. We would have done all our checks and our balances with them before as a matter of fact, we visited their institution in Seychelles. Well, an extension of their institution, the company in Seychelles. We'd have looked at the system, we saw the system, and the rest is history.
All right. And now, how has this new system impacted travelers and traveling to St. Kitts and Nevis? I mean, of course, we just had the busy St. Kitts Music Festival period where we had an influx of visitors. How did the system stand up? How did it impact the visitor experience during that busy period?
Well, like I said earlier, my focus is on people. And people is not just my staff, but our focus is making sure that everybody that comes to St. Kitts and Nevis leave with an experience. Minister Henderson always speaks about a visitor experience. And so we wanted to create an atmosphere for people when they enter St. Kitts. The services that we offer with the use of the technology and the human element leaves a warming and a welcoming impression on each person. And so that is what we have been getting so far. That is really the crux of the matter. The timing of the ETA and the whole system was perfect. It came in perfectly for Music Festival with the amount of persons that would have arrived. And so it has really promoted St. Kitts and Nevis as a whole, and most importantly, the immigration department. So the process has really been overwhelming.
And another busy period is coming up, our carnival celebrations. So you guys are confident that this system is in a perfect place to basically fulfill the mandate that you guys wanted to do.
Perfectly. Yes, of course. As a matter of fact, it has been working so well for us with the positive feedback that we've been getting, that it is our intention to put a second corridor in the arrival hall. So yeah, it really has been working well for us. And like I said, our emphasis is on those persons that are arriving. Whether you're a visitor or you're a returning citizen and national, our emphasis is on you to make sure that when you get into that arrival hall, your experience is somewhat a wow.
So, with any new system, there are bound to be some misunderstandings. There have been one or two complaints about a valid note on the ETA form. Some persons valid until a note on the ETA form that may have been causing a small issue for a number of travelers. Can you explain exactly what the valid until means in relation to traveling to St. Kitts?
Well, it is something that is an issue, not an issue per se, but it's something that was drawn to our attention, and it is especially for returning citizens and national when they applied for the form. But it's not an ETA for citizens and residents because they don't require authorization to return. They would have gotten a similar response in the email with respect to a valid until. But the truth is, Mr. Johnson, the ETA is really for a single entry. So in other words, that 90 days that you would have received on your valid until, you have between that time to travel to use that form. So every time you travel, you have to do a new form because it's only for a single entry. However, we have been adhering to the call. We would have spoken to the service provider to see what they can do to make it a little bit more friendly. And so they are working on something in the background and should be launched in the next couple of days. Okay, so it's really a single entry. It's not a multiple entry.
So basically, you guys are listening to the concerns and addressing them as you go along.
Remember, the concern is our people.
People.
Yes.
Okay. Were there any challenges in getting the system up and running to the standard that you guys wanted it to be?
There wasn't any technical issues. The first issue that we were encountering, based on the magnitude of the system and based on where our headquarters were located, we were firstly looking for a suitable place and location to house the equipments. And we got general support from the minister, who is the Honorable Prime Minister. I want to thank him very much for that. Apart from that, before we launched, we were having some issues, and that is a fault of ours. We didn't think that we did enough public awareness before the launch. Hence the reason why you asked the question about the valid until and so forth. I guess all those would have been rectified and clarified. And so public awareness was the major issue for launching on the 26th of May.
But you guys have, over the time, you guys have kept up the public awareness to help people, not only possibly on social media or traditional media, but at the airports, at the ports of entry themselves, you guys have kept up this awareness with persons to help facilitate their entry into the Federation?
Yes, we have customer service ambassadors at the airport. They're under the auspices of CASPA, and we also have the immigration officers who are on duty. They are tasked with that functions as well, to perform customer service in that capacity as well, to share, to educate any irrelevant information as it relates to the system.
In all of this, we speak about the visitor experience, but you mentioned at the start of the show, just keeping your staff happy and excited about the job. In all of this, were there training for staff to get them up to speed with this new system and to get them comfortable with using it?
Yes, there were obviously training before, and even before training, we had general staff meetings, and we were talking about what is coming. So I was always giving them a synopsis of what is going to happen, and then there were, I think, about a week or two of training. The training wasn't as difficult as it is because it was something that we are accustomed to do. It's just that it's a little more advanced. So the training was very, very productive.
So they grasp it
easily.
Quickly. Okay, good. What steps are there that you guys might have put in place to ensure that the ETA process remains secure and user friendly?
Well, to be honest, we have been getting we haven't received any reports of any hacking or any attempt for the system to be hacked. However, what we have been getting are persons who are them fraudsters who are taking advantage of our system and creating these fake websites and charging persons well above the rate or the service charge for the ETA. And so we are working with our service providers in the background to see how we can counter those sort of situations. In the meantime, I believe that our staff too have a responsibility in protecting that system and that data. And so for some officers, we have asked them to take an oath of secrecy. And like I said to you, Mr. Johnson, the system is a broad system. Mm-hmm. There is an aspect of the system where you can only enter that particular room by facial recognition. And that is the interest and the drive that we have in protecting the system and protecting the data. Because people's personal information is on that system. And so that is one of our major priorities with respect to the system in protecting the data.
Okay, and of course, it's not just about the visitor experience. There's also the national security aspect of it. So how does the ETA tie into the broader national security aspect for St. Kitts and Nevis?
Most persons would think that the ETA is about the money because there is a service charge attached to it. But the truth is, Mr. Johnson, it's much, much broader than that. It is basically, the security aspect of it is huge. I can tell you that much without going into so much of the security part of it, that there are customs officers and there are police officers in our unit with respect to profiling, looking at the data before a passenger arrives. I'm not going to go into much of the nitty-gritties about it, but we respect, and the reason why we invite them is because we are an added arm of national security. We are law enforcement as well, and we don't want to keep this new technology to ourselves. And so we would have invited the police and the customs to be a part of the system, and it has worked perfectly well.
Nice.
I can give you a short success story that the system, by using the system that would have come across thus far. There was a gentleman here, I'm not going to give the nationality. He came in June, and CCTV by the ATM machine, the different banks, picked him up with a skimmed ATM card, withdrawing money from the different ATM machines throughout St. Kitts and Nevis. He would have gathered in excess of 100,000 EC dollars. And so that information was shared with the police. The police shared it with us. And so we looked at the photo that was taken in the ATM booth, and we do a facial recognition in the ATA system, and we were able to identify the gentleman. So it has really, so far, it's only been a month and a half, but we have seen the results that the system comes with.
So it's complementing the whole broader national security aspect. Great. Well, the conversation has just started, and we will be right back as we have much more to touch on the immigration department here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Stay tuned to InFocus.
If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
And welcome back, and thank you for sticking with us here on InFocus. Now, the Immigration Department, you guys recently introduced new uniforms for staff. Many of us would have seen them on social media, looking nice. What prompted, what motivated this change in the overall uniform at the department?
As part of our drive to transform the department through technology and modernization, we thought it was fitting to have a new look to equate the advance of technology.
Okay. And how have the new uniforms been received by members of staff? Do you guys go around, do you guys get the feedback from the staff members since they have suited up in
Yes, the staff members, they prefer this uniform that we have to the other one that we had before, and persons in the public also prefer this type of uniform.
So you guys are receiving compliments from the general public as well? Okay, good. And the uniform is just one aspect, I'm sure. Are there any other staff-related improvements or moral boosting initiatives that the department is planning or have put in place that we just haven't been aware of as yet?
We have recently had a fundraiser last week, Friday, and it was a successful fundraiser. And we are about to have another one at the ending of September because persons were asking if we could do the fundraiser every month.
Good.
Remember, I said that we are about making the staff comfortable.
Yes.
And making the staff happy. And so what we would have done also to boost the morale of the staff, you would have recognized from the information that would have shared in the general public that this year, for the first time in all the music festivals, would have been our heaviest arrivals.
Yes.
And so usually our music festival time, we usually give the staff an extra rest day. And so because this year was so hectic, we had to actually stop rest day for that particular week, and so we're giving them additional rest day. So they're going to get 2 rest days for music festival as a booster for them as well.
I'm sure they will greatly appreciate that.
And for the fundraiser, we are doing this fundraiser because usually at Christmas, we have our Christmas party. So we are doing the fundraiser so we could have sufficient funds.
I was going to ask what the initiative behind the fundraiser was about. So it's to help towards the
Christmas party.
Okay, great. And do the uniform change? Does this reflect the overall rebranding and modernization that goes along with the ETA and all the other system? Is this a part of that broader concept for the department?
Yes, and at one hand, you have this advanced technology to have this seamless processing of persons. And like I said to you, the human element is very important. And so you don't want to have this advanced technology and your staff is not reflected in the brand. And so we want to make sure that it equates. So you have this advanced technology and you have this branding of the uniform to make it look like, to highlight
a real change.
A real change in the department. So the uniform must equate to the type of advancement in technology that we are having as well. Hence the reason why we change the look of the uniform so it match with the advance in technology that we have.
Okay, you touched on it briefly earlier, the kiosk. That wasn't mentioned too much. Are these kiosks still operational at the...
Yes. Even though we have the biometric corridor, the option is still there for persons to use the kiosk. But of course, the kiosk, you're going to take another 2 or 3 seconds at the kiosk as opposed to walking through the corridor. The corridor is much faster. And so, but the options of the kiosk is still, and they are still functional.
Okay, good. So since the bio corridor, most people
prefer to just walk through.
Understandable. So beyond the ETA, what other tools or strategies are being introduced or have been introduced to improve border protection here in St. Kitts and Nevis and even smoother traveler for our people?
Well, Mr. Johnson, I could, based on my experience in the department over a number of years, I don't want to say we have been placed in the back room per se, but since our advancement in the technology, we have been a part of a lot of strategic committees in St. Kitts, one of which is the National Security Council meeting every Friday with the Prime Minister, and those are where we sit down and discuss strategic policies and so forth, and every aspect of these committees. Border security and immigration present a critical part. We also have an enforcement unit. Apart from the technology, remember I said the human factor, the human element, yes. Because without the human element, because the machines can't smile for you, the machines can't tell you welcome to St. Kitts. And so we have an enforcement unit that plays a critical part with respect to enforcement. We are also part of the National Security Strategic Intelligence Committee, and again at those high-level security meetings we play a critical role in the strategic outlook of the Immigration Department.
Good. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that many persons out there have no idea that immigration is so integral.
People mostly look at us as receptionists at a hotel where we stamp persons in, we check persons in, and we check persons out, but we are broader than that.
Good. And I think you also touched on this earlier. You mentioned that you guys work along with regional and international bodies. How important is that, and how often is that you guys reach out to these bodies to ensure compliance, I would imagine, and greater protection for our borders?
I think without that regional support and that international support, without the sharing of information, I don't think we would accomplish anything in the interest of national security, and especially if we are to eradicate those environmental threats like human smuggling, human trafficking. I think having that international and regional support is very critical to what we do. The St. Kitts and Nevis are part of CARICOM, of course. There is the CARICOM Impacts, with responsible for security in the region. St. Kitts and Nevis signs MOU with CARICOM Impacts to share information, not only in border security, but in other aspects of national security. We have other, through the CARICOM Impacts, MOUs with the US Customs Border Patrol, the UK and Canada, and so quite often enough, I receive a lot of emails from these international agencies requesting information, and likewise, vice versa. If there's any information that we require to aid in our investigations or whatever we are doing, the information is forthwith.
Oh, so it's not a backlog, there's smooth...
Smooth, yeah,
okay,
the information,
good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Are there any... I guess because we might be a small country, many won't think that we get them, but are there any updated protocols to screen high-risk individuals coming into St. Kitts and Nevis?
Yes, you would have recalled last year, June. First, before I said that, St. Kitts and Nevis have always been a trendsetter in regional, in CARICOM in particular. A lot of things that CARICOM implemented, we are always the first to do it, and then the others follow. I said that to say there was a CARICOM model legislation in human smuggling. We were the first in CARICOM to pass it last year in June. There is a API, Advanced Passenger Information and Passenger Name Record Bill, in CARICOM as well. We were the first up until today to have passed that legislation. And I think the introduction and the launching of the ETA would have advanced that particular bill. And in the particular bill is everything that I would have spoken about with respect to sharing of information, protecting our borders in the interest of national security. So those two pieces of legislation, in particular, respect to protocols that would have advanced our ability to protect our borders.
Great. And in this technological age, we have AI becoming easily accessible to almost anyone. How important is technology and the implementation of technology? How important is that in enhancing border security and maintaining the protection of St. Kitts and Nevis?
You realize everything I speak about is basically two things: technology and human element.
Yes.
A good portion of the ETA system is based on AI, the use of AI. And again, I will not go into the security aspect of it and this area. But yes, the use of technology is very critical if we are to advance in any aspect of national security, and especially border security.
But you guys Do we receive significant threats in St. Kitts and Nevis at our immigration department that can compromise our security, without going into any specific details?
We haven't received any major threat. We are at low risk with respect to certain aspect of security. However, we are also high risk to human trafficking. We have a number of cases that we are investigating, real cases that we're investigating. With respect to the level of security on a different level, no. But these systems that we have in place, we can't wait until they happen. These are just proactive measures that we're putting in place to deprive persons who may want to enter and cause those unlawful interferences in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Great. It's good to be in the forefront of these things. And I think we also touched on this earlier about the interaction, the engaging with the public. How does the department handle this public engagement, stakeholder engagement, particularly to advise them of changes, improvements, or anything that can impact the way that we handle border security in St. Kitts and Nevis?
With all honesty, I think that is one of the areas that we have been weak in. Public awareness. It is our intentions, however. I received a very comprehensive proposal from one of my staff, and it's basically focused on public awareness. It is a new unit that we intend to create, hopefully before the year ends, and that unit especially is going to be focused on everything that you would have spoken about in terms of sharing the information to the general public. Basically letting the general public know what we do, how we do what we do, without again going into so much of the security aspect of it. So it is an area that we are very weak in. As a matter of fact, we don't even have a Facebook page in 2025. So you could understand.
I'm looking for one.
So you could understand. But it is something that we would have recognized where we are short in, and it's something that we definitely is going to work on before the year ends. Good.
Will there be an area or a section that allows for feedback or concerns from members of the public to the department?
Of course. As a matter of fact, the ETA system allows for that. There is a chat on the platform that allows for persons having any issues, and there's also a particular email specific for the ETA platform. So those sort of communications with respect to the ETA system is already in place.
Good. And just before we go to a break, transparency and accountability. What measures are there in place to ensure these within the department? This is something that's very important to the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, transparency and accountability. How seriously you guys take that, and what measures are in place to ensure these are done?
Well, I can tell you with respect to the ETA system in particular, because we recognize the type of data that we're receiving now. We recognize the type of information that we're receiving from the carriers at both A and C. As I said earlier, we would have asked some officers to take an oath of secrecy. We are guided by our Immigration Act, of course, which is the Bible that we are guided by. And we are also guided by the Civil Service legislation, the Civil Service Act. And also we have our own immigration internal standard operating procedures. Those are what we use as our pillars for accountability with respect to how we operate and so forth in the department.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for those. Stay with us. We will be right back. InFocus continues after this short break.
If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
Thanks for staying with us here on InFocus, where we are talking all things immigration and its significance to border protection and the smoother visitor experience here in St. Kitts and Nevis. With me, of course, is the Chief Immigration Officer, Mr. Sheldon Jeffers, and his Deputy, Ms. Sudes Hodge. Let's continue the conversation. Now, we spoke a bit about innovation that you guys have already implemented, put in place, that has made traveling to St. Kitts and Nevis a lot easier, a lot safer as well. But are there any upcoming innovations and changes that you guys are aware of, the public should be aware of, that you guys are thinking about implementing?
Well, apart from the additional corridor that we intend to put at arrivals, we intend to put one at departure as well. It is also, we are still in discussion with the service providers to have one at the seaport. However, that would require some more further discussions. We have also, and I'm not sure if you are aware, the general public is aware, but the ETA system would have launched on the 26th of May 2025. However, there's a grace period for the service charge of half the actual cost, what it's supposed to be. So come the 1st of September, the full fare kicks in, which is 17 US. And of course, it involves 3 different categories as well. So you're going to have a standard category, which is 17 US, and you're going to have a premium and an expedited category as well. So these are some of the totally changes that you're going to see. We are also in the process of, the system allows us to do a multiple things. We have been in discussion with the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force, and they have expressed their interest to add a section on the platform that allows for persons to apply for temporary driver's license before they arrive. So all visitors or in returning nationals who are returning for Christmas especially, and they intend to drive on the road, we want to create that particular section on the form where they can apply it through the same ETA system, and by the time they get to sing it, they just go to the traffic department and collect their driver's license. That's basically some of the major changes that we intend to see with respect to the new ETA system in the next couple of weeks. Also, we have been having some issues with the diplomatic section of the form as well, and in the next couple of days we are going to add a diplomatic and delegates section to the form. So right now the form has 2 sections: visitors, residents, citizens, visitors, residents and OECS nationals, and visitor section. So we intend to add in the next couple of days a diplomatic and delegate section. And of course that section, the service charge is actually free.
So this ETS system is a really comprehensive system. Wow. And with that, of course, we have to mention the fee. With everything, persons are going to argue, why we have to pay something? Why do I have to pay extra? I already paid the plane ticket, still have to pay to enter the country. Is there anything you say to folks about just this small fee of $17 that accompanying the form?
Well, I have never seen throughout the world there are a lot of ETAs, and there are none that is free. With everything, there is a cost. There is a cost of obviously involved in maintaining this system, and so that is where the service charge really goes into to maintain the system. But to be truthful, Mr. Johnson, the service that you're expected to receive upon arrival, it outweighs the cost of the ETA. So even if we say next week we're going to charge you $50, the service that comes with the cost on arrival, because the truth be told, anybody would want to travel to a country and would pay any amount of money, irrespective of the cost of the ticket, that when they arrive, the service that they are going to get, it is going to outweigh the cost that comes with it now. So that is really the catch, the service. It's not just the money, but it's the service.
The excellent service.
The excellent service on arrivals.
Okay. And so what would you say to travelers or visitors, even citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, who may feel anxious about traveling and the new system we have here in place? What would you say to those persons?
I would say 2 things to them. Coming to St. Kitts, it would be an experience that you would never experience anywhere in the world, because our system is one of a kind in the region. Secondly, if you want to experience the service that the systems come with, you have to ensure that you fill that ETA form prior to coming to St. Kitts. If you fill your form on arrivals, you would not enjoy the services of walking through that biometric corridor and go straight to customs. So my plea to the persons who are coming to St. Kitts, yes, the service is there, but fill the form ahead of time. Once you fill that form ahead of time, the service is available to you. Just walk from the aircraft, basically, come into the arrival hall and walk straight to customs. But you have to fill that form prior to arriving at the St. Kitts.
To enjoy the
full services that it offers.
Okay, good. And with this ETA, we had the kiosk coming on stream last year and other innovations that you mentioned throughout the show. With all these innovations, you have a big task ahead. How do you envision the growth of the Immigration Department, let's say, in the next 5 years?
Remember, I said our vision is to transform the department into a paragon of excellence, and we want to be the envy of other regional and international immigration agencies. We will continue to use technology and the human element, of course. I foresee we are going to be, we are already heading there. As a matter of fact, we have had a number of requests from regional countries to come and visit our systems. 2 weeks ago, Guyana was here. We got an invitation from Montserrat 2 days ago. CARICOM Impact's Executive Committee is going to be here the second week of August. Barbados have shown interest and Jamaica have shown interest. And so we already start to fulfill our vision in becoming the excellence, paragon of excellence, and the envy of other immigration departments just by the services that we provide. And it will only get better. At the end of the day, it is our intention to ensure that when persons arrive, the services are there and they would want to return. And not only return, but bring somebody with them.
I think the Prime Minister said it just recently, our small size does not limit or dictate who we are as a people. And it now shows that even these larger countries are looking to us. Great.
To see what we are doing.
Great. Before I let you guys go, are there any final thoughts, any final messages you would like to say to our viewers, our listeners, far and wide, persons who would like to come to St. Kitts? Are there anything you would like to say to them before you?
Well, I would like to say to the general public, the St. Kitts Nevis Immigration Department, we continue to evolve. It is our intention to further enhance the department. And again, I would remind persons who are intended to travel to St. Kitts and Nevis, please complete that ETA form prior to arriving in St. Kitts. And your stay, your experience on arrival will be one that you will never, ever forget. But for you to enjoy those services, please fill that form prior to arrival into St. Kitts, and you would receive the full benefits of that service.
And then I would add, as the Chief said, please fill the form before your arrival, because if you don't fill the form before your arrival, I guess you have to choose the expedited,
which is
more costly.
And I don't think anyone wants to choose that route.
No.
And with that, I would want to thank you, the Chief Immigration Officer, Sheldon Jeffers, and as his Deputy Chief Immigration Officer, Sudet Hodge, for joining us here at InFocus and sharing with us so much information that I'm sure many of the public weren't aware of, and some of the very, very good work that you guys have been doing to protect us here in St. Kitts and Nevis and to ensure our visitors and even our returning nationals enjoy a smoother experience at our ports of entry. So thank you guys once again for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you to our viewers for joining us here on another edition of InFocus. Join us next week for another take. Thank you very much.
Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.